Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm the Arkansas RC Newbie, and on today's episode, we are going to be looking at the 30 kg Readtosky 360-degree servo winch. That's right, super budget on Amazon. I've got a plate mounted up to the back. We've had to do a whole bunch of reconfiguring on my AMK carbon fiber crawler chassis back here. I was running my Warn winch, which I'm a huge fan of, super tough. The downside to the Warn winch, it looks really cool, gets me scale points, is it's not fast. All right, so in hopes on today's episode, we'll get this thing installed. We'll get to do a couple of test runs with it, and hopefully this thing will be a heck of a lot faster and still be the same strength, if not better, than the Warn winch that I'm used to. All right, guys, so without further ado, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get to installing the winch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to test this winch out. It was like 30 bucks. Guys, excuse the mess. You guys know how it is whenever you're working on your hobby stuff and then trying to record. It gets dirty very fast. I want to see if this thing's got any power to it and see if it actually works with my FlySky controller before we go any further on this. So we are plugged on channel 4, and I'm not sure on the speed. Of course, that's going to matter with the spool. I'm going to show you guys. All right. So it goes forward and it goes backwards. Now that's good. Now the issue here, we're going to be taking a look at during the install what the issue is going to be. The issue is I'm going to have to get a little bit creative because I have an external BEC on this crawler at this point, right? This external BEC goes from a 4.8 to a 9 volt. My Flash Hobby Servo, the 45 kg, is rated at an 8.4, and I have this set at an 8.2 right now. So with my Quick Run Fusion SE, that's the 2-in-1 system, you have to detach the positive wire that goes to the receiver, okay? So whenever you put your BEC into your bind, it sets all the channels up to run at an 8.2. I do not want to burn my new Servo Winch servo out, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the positive that's set at a 7.4, the lead that comes off of the Quick Run Fusion. I'm going to take the positive that I have bound up here, and I'm going to wire that directly to my winch, and then have my control and my negative on the receiver, just to make sure that we're getting a good amount of power. But go ahead and let me show you guys what we're going to be using as far as my spool goes. Now you guys can check out the affiliate links in the description below. As always, I always try to put stuff in there on my builds that you guys might need or that I'm using. This here is the Injora 23-tooth spool. It's pretty clean. These are like 10 bucks on Amazon. Okay, so we got a 23 on one side. That's kind of interesting. We have a 23 on one side, and then we have a 25 tooth on the other. So the 25 tooth is what we're going to be using. Let me work on getting this winch set up, and then we're going to get the voltmeter and we're going to test out that lead and see if it is a 7.4 so we don't burn this winch out. I guess one of the downsides to this style of a budget winch, not spending, you know, $80, I guess would be the, I don't know, the hobby grade, if you will. The downside to this is the height. This is the same exact height as a regular servo, so it's right at 1 inch and 5/8. And I've looked at a bunch of pictures on the internet, and I had some different selections, but I didn't want to spend that much money. You know, some of them are like half the size of this. This one here is just short enough to be able to not mess with my drive shaft and make contact with any of my links, luckily. Okay guys, so we got the 30 kg Readtosky, funky brand. Again, you guys can check out the affiliate links in the description below. We got that sucker mounted in there. It does look pretty good. There's definitely enough ground clearance. Yeah, it could be shorter, but really I think it's going to work okay for this apparatus that we've got going on here. If you guys are enjoying this episode, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. When we get done with this portion, don't fast forward. We are going to take this thing, we're going to play with it a little bit, okay? The 2-in-1 wire here, the positive lead, you're supposed to unhook that after you hook up your BEC. And what we're going to do is I put some heat shrink around it. I'm going to cut the heat shrink off. We're going to test it. We're going to see what voltage is coming out of it. I believe it's either, you can set it. Now I've got the program card. It's either a 6.4, I think, or a 7.4, or a 6.1, something like that. Okay, now science. 7.46. So that's what we want right there. I think that's going to be just enough. It's not going to burn it out. Now, I don't like about this spool is it didn't come with any type of grub screw or anything. It's just a hollow hole that goes directly through it. And if I tie a knot around it, it's going to take up room on my spool. I've got 8 foot of winch line, which is not going to take the full 8 foot. But I wish it would have come with a grub screw or something. So I found this little bitty screw here, and I checked the packaging. There's nothing it comes with. This little bitty screw. You guys see that? Tiny. I'm wondering if I could put that in there. And the back of it's kind of flush. Yeah, that might work. That might work to hold it in place. I might even grind that down just to get some extra out of there. But let's see if we can get this winch line in there. I've talked so much crap about servo winches and people getting hung up. Like these things always get hung up on people. I'm hoping that's not gonna be the case with me. But I'm gonna say, like, I really hope that the speed is there, you know. Let's see how fast she is. Okay, that is super slow. I mean, that is like snail slow. I think it pulls out a little bit faster, but dude, that's slow, man. Super slow. All right, guys, here we are with a pretty good grade. Got me some outdoor steps here. We're gonna see if the servo is actually 35 kg strong. I'll tell you what, this thing is super slow for sure. Well, I thought this was gonna be an upgrade over my Warren winch as far as speed goes, but that is definitely not the case. Winch line is hooked up. Let's see if we've got enough power here, enough juice to pull me up. All servo right now. I'm gonna get these front tires over this little log portion and give it just a little bit of throttle. Okay, so the good news is it's actually raising up the back of the crawler right now. Look at that. That's impressive. And this thing's about 6¼ pounds. I think I talked about that. Okay, so that's good. I mean, that thing's getting some power right there, buddy. Look at that. Wow, that thing has got some power, and that's 7.4 volts going to it. Remember, we had to hook it up to the 2-in-1 system as opposed to the BEC, but that's the max power, 7.4 volts. So it drags us over this here. A lot of power. I mean, enough to raise the back end up. That's a lot of torque on it. Wow, look at that. Well, we got about 6 foot of winch line here, which is probably overkill. I'll probably cut it down about half if this thing stays on there, which it's probably going to stay on there. I mean, I've already got it installed and it looks good, but we're going to hook it up here, this next one. We'll see if we can pull me a little bit more. I'm impressed with the pulling power. It's not giving up. It's just super slow is the only problem. I mean, and to pull the crawler it did in those really bad positions, it's not bad at all. Like, I am impressed with that, but I mean, just look at the speed of this thing. Main reason I wanted to get this, you know, was during the team crawl and how slow I noticed that my Warren winch was. And I was like, man, I could really save some time with winching this thing out. So what I have to do, and what I've done with my Warren winches, of course, is I'll put my land anchor to the back of the chassis and keep so much line out. But that's still a long time. So that's definitely one of the downsides with this servo winch. All right, guys, we got the land anchor right here. We've got the crawler about a quarter way up. Fly Sky GT5. And if it'll stay grabbed on there. Just giving a little bit of throttle. And it's climbing it. I mean, it's doing a good job of climbing it. It is definitely strong enough. And look at how it raises the back end of the crawler up. That's impressive. Let's stop this real quick. Let's look in here. And it looks like it's still on the spool, which is good. And again, we don't need 6 foot. We'll probably need 3 foot. But if you can see that little spool in there, it's not getting messed up. It's staying on course. Okay. All right, guys, well, that was the real-time review of the Readtosky 30 kg, like, super budget Amazon servo winch. I just touched the winch. It's not warm whatsoever, which is a good thing. I'm going to keep this thing mounted here for right now. If you guys know of a better deal or something else you might want to see me try out, make sure you guys put in the comments below. Price is great. The speed is super slow. You know, the Servo Winch could afford to be a little bit shorter to help out with the weight distribution of it, I guess, or just the overall weight, because it is kind of tall. It's a regular size of like a steering servo. Plenty strong enough, 30 kg. We're maxed out 7.4 volts. I mean, this crawler is 6¼ pounds. It's super heavy, and that thing, I mean, handled it no problem. If this thing was a little bit faster, it'd definitely be a super budget servo winch. Something I'd be really happy to keep on this crawler. It's going to stay on there for right now. Maybe we'll get another one here in the near future and test it out. But guys, I appreciate you watching as always. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you guys on the next episode.